Hey guys, Kalltorak here, and yeah, let's have an honest conversation about Thorns. Before you guys dive into League starting, I just want to make sure you guys are as prepared as possible for what to expect. I'm going to be front-loading this video with all of the friction points of Thorns. I know most of you are excited about Thorns and are going to have a blast playing it, but some of you might still be on the fence or might not realize that Thorns is really an unfinished archetype. We talk about how PoE 2 is in early access, but Thorns is also in early access. This archetype still has a long way to go, and there are some points when you're playing this build where it really doesn't feel good. Most of the time it's awesome, a lot of the time it's a great fun, but yeah, sometimes you're just going to be very frustrated. So let's just get through all of the pain points and then I'll walk you guys through the mobalytics. And the first major pain point of Thorns is the obvious one, it's trade. You cannot play Thorns without trade. There are many required uniques and rare items for Thorns. You are constantly going to be having to trade throughout the campaign. Your average ARPG player just wants to get through the campaign with a cheap and easy build, and this build can be easy, but it requires lots of trading, and it will require you to stop and trade throughout the campaign 4 or 5 different times. And what comes with the problem with trade is this weekend we are having multiple new trade systems integrated into the game, as well as the free-to-play launch. Who knows what this is going to do to the trade systems? Will the trade systems be down? Will the game be crashing? We don't know. There is a world where trading is just broken and we actually cannot play Thorns at all on launch. So just, you know, be ready for the fact that trading is very important for Thorns. The next thing is, yeah, we don't know about the passive tree yet, so I might not even have time to update the mobalytics before we dive in. Hopefully we have at least an hour or two of the passive tree, but it's very possible that when I log in and I hit P, I am seeing the passive tree for the first time, and I might just want to play the game on stream for a couple hours. I might not want to sit there, analyze the passive tree, and then plug into the mobalytics. I might just want to dive right into the game. So it is possible that while I have completed the mobalytics as much as I can, the passive tree is not completed. Everything in the passive tree is just kind of fake nonsense. Don't pay attention to it at all. So just keep in mind we're playing an unfinished archetype and we have no passive tree preparation. The next thing is that this is a hard game. Path of Exile 2 is a game that is trying to kill you constantly. It wants you dead, and this is a playstyle where you have to take damage to deal damage. Some of the endgame units or bosses aren't really designed around Thorns. Some of them don't even proc Thorns with their skills. There are so many uber bosses that they don't attack fast, or their attacks always one-shot you and you have to avoid them. Now, while all tier 4 content and all ubers have been cleared with Thorns, sometimes the fights were either super slow or required an extreme budget. Now, while you can clear 98% of this game on a very, very cheap budget, if you're talking about tier 4 Arbiter and tier 4 Zech, you're going to require maybe a 10 to 50 Divine budget, depending on what the cost is this league. But everything else, though, is very doable. If you're not going to get thrown off by maybe missing 1 or 2 of the hardest tiers of the bosses, then you're going to have a good time. All base difficulties were good. And yeah, like I said, the annoying mob types. There are just some enemies that refuse to proc Thorns, and if you happen to get a double rare spawn of, like, the Hag Witches, for instance, you're just in a bad time for Thorns. And of course, yeah, the clear speed, we're talking about a build that might be stacking a lot of armor, and, you know, the cooldown reduction on shield charge helps a lot, but yes, it's not the fastest clearing build. So the clips, they're real, and I wouldn't be playing this archetype this much if I wasn't having an absolute blast with it. I wouldn't be willing to league start it if I didn't think it was possible. But first time Thorns, it has some serious friction points, and yeah, it comes on slow, especially for trade. You might not be playing Thorns until maybe halfway to Act 2, maybe even into Act 3. So yeah, let's just dive into the mobalytics now. Alright, sorry for all that negativity. So yeah, here is the mobalytics. It is as completed as it can be for this patch. We'll have to wait until we get the passive tree and it'll modify more. There's just so many unknowns with like how certain skills are going to be used while leveling, but yeah, I've done the best I can. So we are playing Warbringer. For those who don't know, the core way you get a lot of your Thorns damage is through Scavenge Plating. You get stacks of Scavenge Plating by breaking armor. Warbringer can break armor with all damage via Anvil's weight. This means your Thorns can break armor. It's the only way you can get your Thorns to break armor. And this makes Warbringer like the brain off Thorns build. Like, you don't have to think when you're playing Warbringer Thorns. And I know that's like why a lot of you want to play Reflect builds. You just want to be like as AFK and brain off as possible. Warbringer is what enables that. I know there's a lot of doom around the armor and the block stuff. Don't. Warbringer is going to be great. There's a lot of armor break stuff that pairs with fire stuff. Avatar of Fire Thorns might be the best DPS Thorns option we have. So yeah, Warbringer is going to be awesome. Now, I've already talked about it in the intro, but yes, for Act 1, you should not be expecting to play Thorns. Maybe by the time you get to Count Geonor, if you farm some bosses and you've gotten some Regal Orbs and one Exalt, you can put together a full level 16 Thorn set. But more than likely, you're not going to be doing that. You're going to be continuing on into Act 2, and then sometime in Act 2, maybe even after you've gotten your Ascendancy, you will transition to Thorns. I would not recommend swapping to Thorns until you have a full set of Thorns gear. That means at least Crown of the Pale King and Briar Patch boots. That means the 3 rare pieces, shield, body armor, and belt, all at the level 16 Thorns rolls. It's possible that we'll have Ice Tomb by then, so if Ice Tomb stays a level 16 unique, you might be wanting to use Ice Tomb now for the mana stacking Thorn scaling. And then you'll want the support gem Barbs by then. And obviously, that list is kind of a lot. So yes, I would not recommend starting Thorns earlier, even if you got lucky and you had a couple pieces of gear. So, how should you be expecting to level? I will have a video coming out, probably launch morning, that is like talking about me clearing Act 1. So, how should you expect to clear? We are more than likely going to be clearing with the standard Rolling Slam, Bone Shatter, Mace Strike combo. Now, there is a possibility that there is some Stomping Ground shenanigans with Shield Charge and Disengage. I have them both listed here. Now, they've changed Stomping Ground apparently based off of some leak from the Chinese server. We don't know if it's real. I mean, I don't know if it's real, rather. But apparently they've changed Stomping Ground. It doesn't scale off of strength anymore. It scales off of your weapon's attack damage. So, if that is the case, I don't know how much better... I don't think we'll be playing the Stomping Ground changes in the early game. More than likely, it'd be better in mid to late game. So I just assume we're going to be playing Rolling Slam style. I have the gem priority set up for your support gems and where they should go into. So just make sure you follow this. I'm going to quickly talk about this order. So Mace Strike, guys, you're going to be wanting to get a good two-hander out the gate. You're going to clear the beach, you're going to get all of the loot off of the ground, you're going to identify it, and you're going to go to the blacksmith and you're going to vendor all of it. And you're going to buy the best two-hander you can afford from him. Mace Strike is going to carry us throughout all of Act 1. Nothing replaces Mace Strike for single target until you get to Perfect Strike. And because of that, the very first support gem we're going to get when we kill the Defiler is Concentrated Effect. And you're going to put it into Mace Strike. After that, you're going to put Impact Shockwave into Bone Shatter. This is where we get all of our AoE cleared. For those that don't know, the Bone Shatter Rolling Slam combo, you Rolling Slam, and Rolling Slam has 2 hits. The first hit will prime the Impact Shockwave from Bone Shatter. So you do the Rolling Slam and he hits the ground, and then you use Bone Shatter. Bone Shatter will cancel the animation of Rolling Slam, preventing the second hit from going off. But you'll have Impact Shockwave primed. You'll do a big AoE burst with Bone Shatter, and this combo is all the AoE clear you need. As long as you have a non-gray two-handed mace, it doesn't even have to be a great one. The better the mace, the better, obviously. But as long as you have a two-handed mace, and you run with these 3 support gems that I'm talking about right here, Concentrated Effect and Mace Strike, Impact Shockwave and Bone Shatter, and then Martial Temple and Mace Strike, this will carry you throughout the entire campaign. Keep your eyes out for the video. I'm going to have an Act 1 clear video coming out soon. It will make it so much easier for you guys. But yeah, this is the combo. That's all you need for clearing Act 1. Now, if you don't want to play that playstyle, if you've already tried it, there are so many league starters out there. You can play Instant Train Contagion, you can play a crossbow build, you can play a spear build. It does not matter how you clear the campaign. I have provided you with potentially 2 options. We have the Rolling Slam, Bone Shatter, Mace Strike leveling, which I think is one of the better warrior leveling options right now. And then we have the potential of the Stomping Ground, Shield Charge, Disengage combination. We don't know what's going to be better. You can level however you want. Level whatever League Start style you want until you can afford the full set of Thorns gear. What's most important is you are collecting a full set of Thorns gear before you transition at level 16 or later. Now, when you're using the Mobalytics, just make sure you go through all the tabs. Each one of them has different information depending on the bracket. So the level 16 through 28 version, it has an area talking about the Trial Succumbus. It gives you tips and tricks on how to clear it, and it links to a video on how I clear it. A lot of people are worried about Sanctum and, you know, the damage taken, you lose honor. It's not that big of a deal. So we can get Sanctum done pretty quickly. Just make sure you are reading the sections of the guides when you're at them. You know, I try, and I'll be trying to update them on the fly. There could be campaign changes that, you know, I need to note on the fly, but make sure you click through each of these areas. Now, when we talk about the leveling gear, obviously Crown of the Pale King is required. There are plenty of good uniques. Briar Patch you should pick up immediately. This is like, you're going to use it until endgame, and it's going to carry your damage throughout a lot of the campaign. Cloak of Flame, probably don't want to get because of Ice Tomb now. Bait unless it gets a buff, but Ice Tomb might be a best in slot leveling chest piece. It just depends on how much mana Thorns we're getting. Dreadfist you will also use throughout the entire campaign, so whenever you can afford it at level 27, you should use it. And Prize Pain, it depends on what kind of build you're playing, but more than likely you're going to be wanting to use your rings for resistances and other stats, so I would probably not bother buying Prize Pain. These are the level brackets you can buy for Thorns. Now, I know it's a little confusing when you look at PoEDB. It'll say, like, different levels. That's talking about the item level. These are the lowest possible level requirement for the gear that you can get these Thorns rolls. So, at level 1 and 8, I would not, unless you're doing a Twink alt, I would not bother getting level 1 and 8 Thorns gear. If you can find these along your way, you might save yourself some currency later on, but don't bother buying level 1 to 8 Thorns gear. This is going to be the toughest decision you're going to have to make, you guys, is do you want to play Thorns at level 16, or do you want to play Thorns at level 28? As you can see here, the difference in Thorns damage is massive. It doubles between level 16 and 28. You go from 11 to 24. I mean, the damage spike is crazy, and when you go from that level 16 Thorns gear to level 28 Thorns gear in-game, you go from doing okay boss damage to basically going to all the meme clips. Like this is when the meme clips start, where you start one-shotting goofy bosses. So, you can technically start Thorns at level 26. If you can afford it, go for it. But the biggest power spike where you start cruising through the campaign happens at level 28. So if you find yourself starved on currency and you're like level 22 and you still can't afford the full Thorn set, I would not transition to the Thorn set yet. I would wait until level 28, and that's when you're going to get the biggest power spike, and you're not going to waste as much currency. If the campaign's raining currency and everything's going for regal orbs and stuff, and you're doing fine on currency, yes, I'm going to be trying to go for Thorns at level 16. But if you're starved for currency, I would wait until level 28. Just so you're not wasting as much of your own time as possible, because the level 28 power spike is truly massive. And the last thing I want to talk about here is why I have a mace from level 28 upwards in the set 1 and a spear in the offhand. So throughout the campaign, you're always going to want to use a spear for Thorns. Rapid Assault is the best way to get rid of barb stacks. Anytime you retaliate with Thorns, you get 4 stacks of barbs. So let's just say you're getting hit once every 2 seconds. How do you get rid of those 4 stacks of barbs within those 2 seconds? You have to hit 4 times. That's not possible with most skills. Well, Rapid Assault, it is possible. Rapid Assault is the best way to front load your Thorns damage via barbs. So no matter what, no matter how you play Thorns through the campaign, you are always going to need a spear for Rapid Assault. Now, you can level a Bleed Thorn style like with my Rich List I did, and then use Rake. I am specifically wanting to try out the maces with Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer scales off of melee skills and off of the raw damage of the weapons. This is more of an, if you have extra currency, a extra step type thing you should do. But investing into good maces and Wind Dancer is bonus. You're going to not want to prioritize anything into the maces or the melee skills unless you are flush with cash. Now, for your spear, your stats on the spear doesn't matter. You want to get strength probably. That's probably the most important thing you can get. But the actual damage of the spear, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. We're mainly doing damage via Thorns. So if you can get a good spear, it's great. But you can coast with a bad blue spear throughout the entire campaign. I would look for one with a high attack speed and probably a strength roll on it at minimum. Potentially Dex too, because Dex will help with Wind Dancer. But yeah, that's what I just want to talk about is we have the Wind Dancer Herald of Plague interaction. I'm trying to see if we can work it into the leveling of Thorns. But do not put any pressure on yourself to be buying these maces with the melee skills. Or the amulet with the melee skills. Right now this isn't in detail in the written guide, but it will be soon. And I'll get the priority set up for all the support gems as well once I have that really fully mapped out. It's hard to know where to put this stuff in advance when we haven't cleared the campaign yet, but I wanted to get you guys as prepared as possible. Just know that depending on the state of the launch, you guys might be having to maybe have my stream on the side or refreshing the Mobalytics page every hour or two to get updates. Because yeah, it's going to be a little bit of the Wild West, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just impossible to predict how we're going to handle the passive tree. Now, more likely, we're going to be playing Avatar of Fire Thorns. We're probably going to be in this section down here, thriving. But just know that you're going to be refreshing the Mobalytics page on launch potentially, waiting for me to update the passive tree on the fly, and you might have to have my stream open on the side so you can follow along. By the way, I will be streaming, so if you want to follow along, you can. Now, the one thing I can kind of talk about is the Ascendancy. Now, your first 2 points are going to go into Anvil's Weights. It's the main reason we go Warbringer. This trivializes one of the most annoying parts of Thorns, I guess, is the armor-breaking aspect of it. And what makes this even more special is we are getting a lot of fire damage benefit through the new passive tree through armor break. So when we go Avatar of Fire Thorns, taking imploding impacts for the break armor can go negative might just net us massive damage, especially when you talk about adding on something like Chernobog. This is going to be really sick. So your first points are going into Anvil Weights. I don't know if we're going into Jade Heritage second. It is possible Jade Heritage is second. You know, we have the new block stuff and the merging of the Warcry node. So they're merging Great Wolf's Howl and Warcallow's Bellow. This might be a great way to level through the campaign. So it's possible that you see early Warbringer snag this over Anvil's Weight or take it after Anvil's Weight to make clearing Act 3 and 4 faster. But I imagine the first thing I'm taking is Anvil Weight and then Jade Heritage. If we do get our third Ascendancy point before we clear the campaign, you're more than likely going to start heading towards the new Turtle Charm, but it could be imploding impacts. And yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty here. I know this is super annoying to me. I'm super self-conscious uploading this, honestly. Like, it's just, there's just so much that we don't know, and I'm trying my best to give you guys as smooth a journey as possible. I'm going to try and get trade links updated for it, so on launch you can hopefully just click on the guide and you'll click the level 16 section, and there will be a link here that says belt, and you'll click belt and it'll open the trade site for the new league and it'll show you all the belts that have the Thorns damage that you want. You know, I'm hoping I have time to get something like that set up. It just depends on when things start getting updated and stuff, but yeah, hopefully this written guide will get you most of the way. I know this isn't like an in-depth guide on how to handle each axe. I don't like prepping that without doing it myself. Yes, I could go through Act 1 and I can show you guys a lot of clips from this phase, but in practice they could be misleading. So I just don't feel confident doing that. I'm trying to give you guys my best verbal preparation, and as soon as I can give you guys real evidence and real footage of how things should be done, I'm going to get that video out. I imagine within the first 24 to 48 hours, if you're a slower leveler or you're not leveling on start, I will have a full 1 to 65 leveling guide out with a full video explanation on how to handle each axe in depth by day 1 or 2 done. But yeah, unfortunately, because it's just fake practice right now. I don't feel comfortable promising you guys that it'll go well there. But yeah, keep an eye out for my stream tomorrow. I will be live streaming myself doing practice runs of Act 1. We're going to be getting this Act 1 to maybe like level 24, probably just getting our Ascendancy down a couple times, and just getting that Thorns transition ready. But I hope this discussion really laid everything out for you guys for the League start of Thorns. Yeah, it's just a lot of uncertainty, but I promise you we're going to be able to navigate it. It's going to be a lot of fun for us. I promise you that. But if there's anything you think I should touch on a little bit more before we dive into the League start, please comment down below. I might make a whole video about it. I'll try, you know, if you guys want specific sections like highlighted a little bit more in depth, let me know. I don't know what you guys need to learn before the launch, more in depth. So yeah, if there's something you see missing from this guide, yeah, I'm rambling. You guys get what I'm saying. Apologies to Darth Microtransaction. We once again ran out of time. Take care, boys. See you in the next one.